Hello, everyone. It's Catherine Michelle, and I'm being joined again today with Sophia.
Hey, everybody.
And today we're going to be talking about the blood stains on the clothes. We know we've mentioned this before, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail. Both Sophia and myself have taken the photos and we have created negatives and then other I don't know, filters, applied them. So it's to bring out the stains in these clothes, which help tell the story of what is going on. And just to bring, I guess, just some more clarification to these items. Is there anything you'd like to add, Sophia?
Because the clothes are darker, we will see when we apply the negative filter that they change color, but it still picks up the blood, which is important because some of the clothes are like navy blue or black, and you can't see the blood very well with it like that. And so that's one of the reasons why we decided to actually do this. And then of course the members suggested it too. We were like, yeah, we should have been doing this all along. So anyway, just wanted to explain that real quick.
Yes, and it's also important to note that while we are applying negative visual or making it negative form and then adding filters and stuff, we are not altering the photos and then producing these and saying this is an official legal document. So it don't compare it to like the fake document that was created. Someone created that and then put an officer's name on it and tried to present that as actual part, as an actual part of a report. And that is not what we're doing. And we've never claimed that these are photos that we received from anyone. We've always stated that these are photos we are changing the format and filters because we're trying to bring out certain aspects that we're trying to help you to understand. So big difference there. And this is not illegal. It is not doing anything like that. We're just going through these to, again, help show what the crime scene has been telling us.
Yeah. These are not actual crime scene photos that we received, and we're not claiming to say that we received these or trying to pass them off as that. We have just highlighted the negative image to an actual crime scene photo. That's all.
Correct. And because sometimes it's easier to see the blood pattern when it's in negative form, because as you know, with the negative, if you have a photo that has, and of course blood is often dark, right, it's red, so and as it dries it turns very dark brick red color, and so you want that negative to turn it to a white, so it brings it out, so it will stand out and you can follow patterns, and it's easier to see if there's like cast off or layers of blood. And so that's why we're doing this. And also, like Sophia stated, one of our members had actually requested that this be done to help them see better. And we both thought it was a fantastic idea. Yes, we do this on our own and we've done it between the two of us, but we've never really presented it in this way before. So thank you to our member who suggested that. I'm not sure if they want their name put out there, so we won't say it. And if they want to, they can make themselves known within the comment section.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're just going to get started on this. I have to figure out what it is I'm going to be sharing here. And here we go. We're going to start the slideshow. And on this one, actually, Sophia had put this one together, and I love what she's done to this. So I will let her take the lead on this one. And please, in the comment section, make suggestions, or if there's something you don't understand or anything like that, please feel free to join in or come to the group page and join in on a discussion. Okay, Sophia, here you go.
Clothing talk, a frank conversation regarding the Crowley's bloody clothing. Just a side note real quick. We are only covering David and Camille in this presentation and not Rania. And we also have a viewer discretion only because we're talking about adult gory stuff like decomp and blood spatter and that kind of stuff. And it's probably not appropriate for little ears.
Correct. And also these are real crime scene photos that we have taken. So they actually do belong to a real crime scene.
Yes.
And both Sophia and I, we just don't want to cover anything with Rania. She was an innocent, she was a child, and I'm not going to go there. You know, David and Camille were adults and this is all public, but as far as the baby goes, I'm not going there.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. David's pants, and you can see some of the blood that is on there.
Yeah, right here.
Correct. Yes. There's some on the side of his pants too that are picked up on the white.
Yes, which shows a lot of blood on his clothes. And let me see if I can, oops. Okay. Okay.
Other direction, yeah.
Why is this going like that?
The pants?
Okay, it was I'm trying to see if I can zoom in, and I can't. But okay, here we go with the negative form of the pants.
Yes. The reason why there's two negative filters is because usually the first one that I have entered into this presentation has been done by Catherine and your computer program.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was done by mine on a cell phone app called Negative Filter. So anybody in the group can be doing this on their own. And Negative Filter is free to download on your phone if you'd like. And Catherine?
And like Sophia was pointing out on the first photo, but you couldn't really see it because they were dark pants, which is why we're doing the negatives. This area where it's the blue, the darker bluish color, this is actually the blood staining here. And then here, the white on the blue is the blood. And then this is the blood. And now you can really see it. It really comes out in this photo.
Yes. For this one, I had to mess with the contrast a little bit just to get that blue to highlight more. And so if you turn the contrast down on the negative app, that's where it will come through. Yeah. And this was navy blue to begin with, so you couldn't really see the blood staining. And then it picks it up pretty well.
Yeah. And then you can see the tear here. And you, to me, and I could be wrong, but when I see this, this looks like little dog paw marks, like the claws of a dog made these little rip sections here. So this looks like something like maybe paleo or whatever was trying to claw at the pants, maybe trying to get, I don't know. I'm thinking what I see this is like the dog's like, wake up, move, what's wrong? And so he's just trying to claw to get him attention. But again, you can see the blood here. There is a lot of blood.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yep.
This is pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm. And with this one, I want to bring out, I want to draw your attention to the bottom part right here. Do you see all this wet blood on this? And this is called a chucks. This blue thing behind it, it's a chucks. Or maybe it could be blue butcher paper. I'm not sure, but this is the type of thing that we would put down, especially if we have something that's going to have blood or other bodily fluids that help, keep a thing sanitary. But notice how soaked this shirt is. Now this could be this area over here could be some decomp, but this definitely is blood, and this is wet blood. So when they were taking this out to lay this down, that shirt was still wet.
And how could that be if they supposedly died 3 weeks before?
Exactly. And I know before I've stated, and I want to make sure I explain it better, because I don't think I explained it well this last time. These marks here, where it looks like the shirt is wrinkled or pulled up. Now this area, the way this blood is on here, you see how it's dark here, light here, dark here, light here. That tells me that it was bunched up when an event was taking place. It's not the same thing as picking it up and then putting it into a bag, because I don't think these were put in a bag, correct? They were left on the body and then transported with the body.
Procedure is for them to do that.
Yeah, okay. And so you know, that would leave a different pattern. Yes, the clothes would be wrinkled if you take them off and you put it in a bag, and of course they would, you know, they would be wrinkled, but that they would not leave a darker blood pattern with a lighter blood pattern with a darker blood pattern. That shows like something is bunched up underneath something else while it's being exposed to whatever liquid. Like here, you see this white area right here, but it's all dark. So these patterns tell me that this shirt was, you know, when you put your clothes on, you just don't leave it all bunched, right? You don't put it on and then put another shirt on and just go, okay, I don't care if it's all wrinkly up underneath there. No, you straighten out your clothes. You want to be comfortable, but that's not how this looks like it was worn.
Here you can see it so much better too.
Yes. Exactly. And you see here, this is what I'm trying to point out. And of course, again, this is negative. So this would all be the blood and this would be the white. And this is the white and this here is the blood. So you can tell that the shirt was kind of bunched up underneath his other shirt. But again, that is a lot of blood.
And once again, you see the teal that we saw on the recliner in our last presentation of the living room. And the teal is the blood.
Yes.
So, and we should have seen that on the couch. We should have seen it on the living room carpet, yet we didn't. So I just wanted to point out that point. Okay.
Now this is David's outer shirt.
No, this is the t-shirt that was underneath the sweatshirt.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know why it's bunching up like that, because that's not what it looks like in the app.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right. The main thing here is so they can see the blood stains. And again, here's this area over here, and over here you have wet blood that got transferred from the shirt onto the chucks. And look at this pattern. And it has the same kind of bunching on the left front shoulder part as the other shirt did. To me, that's very interesting to note.
And then this is his undershirt, the one that was completely under everything else that he had on, because he had multiple layers.
Okay, cool.
And
Yeah.
it's very hard to see the blood in this. I mean,
It really is. And then to notice the fraying on the bottom and on the back. And as we know, David was supposedly found lying on his back with arms spread out, but the fraying and the tearing of the shirt is underneath him where his back would have been on the floor. I don't think David wore torn clothes. You know, this one and then the previous, let me see if I can get it to go back.
yeah, I don't think he did either. Well, I don't know, because it looks torn right there on the bottom.
The both shirts are, oops, no, I went too far. Both shirts
Oh, yeah.
have a
In
tear.
the same exact area.
Yes. So that, and then so it's on the back, and the back is on the floor. So this took place prior to them being placed in the position in which they were found.
Interesting. I wonder what could have caused the tear then, because paleo couldn't have gotten to his back
Exactly.
right there in the middle, and that tear comes from the middle and over.
Yep. And what's
So-
interesting is the shirt, the undershirt is the one that has the bigger tear, and the shirt that was on top has a smaller tear, same area, start at the same place. But again, these are the things that we've been noticing in this case. And but if you will take a look at the chucks on this one, there's really no wet blood on this one at all, which to me, I find it's interesting. I'm looking at this going, I would think, since this was closer to his body and not as exposed to the air as the other shirts, that this one would have left some blood on the chucks, but it didn't. And again, it has the same bunched up pattern here, a bunching of the left shoulder. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I just pondering the tear.
Okay, and again, this here, look at this section right here, everybody. This was what I was trying to point out before. Look at this section versus these sections. This again was like it was bunched up and not in a smoothed out, so it was kind of bunched and wrinkled as the blood is being I don't want to say applied, but as the blood gets on the shirt, it's leaving a pattern like this. Again, it wasn't a smoothed out shirt. It was one that was bunched up on his body.
I find this the most interesting because his undershirt should have had quite a bit of blood on it compared to, in just like the boxers, it should have just as much, but it doesn't.
Yep. And it's interesting to note this blood pattern. So it's coming down the front. So this to me, and again, they're bunched up, same thing, same situation. So when I look at this, I'm envisioning David like in a sitting, crouched position, maybe possibly legs up, like kind of, I don't want to say a fetal position, but kind of, I'm assuming you're going to be crouched. And so his legs are up, he's in a sitting position as the blood, because blood will go down, and it's going down the front of him and then through the crotch area toward the back. So this tells me that he was probably in a sitting position when this happened. It wasn't a lying position because it couldn't have been lying on his stomach because we have too much blood in the crotch toward the back area. It's not laying a back position because there's too much blood on the front. So it's really the only thing that makes sense, a sitting position.
And with this amount of blood, we should see it on the carpet.
Yes.
We should see the pools of it on the carpet, and yet we have not seen that.
Yep. And that's so important to note because the narrative states that they died in that living room, that this was simple, one gunshot wound to his head, supposedly did all this, but there's no blood anywhere else. His blood is not found in that house, except for on these clothes.
Yeah, and we cannot say for a fact that he was leaning against that recliner because the recliner, even though it was sampled, it was never tested. But if he was leaning against it and that was his blood, then who moved him to that crucifix position in the middle of the rug?
And that's an important question because like you just brought out, without that answer, without them testing that recliner, and because again, could it be Camille's blood? Yes. Could it be Ronnie's blood? Yes. Could it be David's? Absolutely. but we don't know because they didn't test it. But if it was David's, how did he get from the chair to the floor by the couch after he's dead?
Because the coroner does not mention any wounds whatsoever on his feet. They mention his hand missing. Did they mention the scratch on his leg?
No. I don't know. I don't recall seeing that in the autopsy report, but they may or may not have, so I shouldn't say. I should just say I don't recall.
Well, I have it right here.
Okay.
I can look at it while we discuss the other photos.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and now these are Kamel's pants. And on this one, I do believe the lighter areas is the blood and the darker areas, the gray part of the pants.
Yes, correct.
And with this one, especially on Kamel, since she was found lying on her stomach, a lot of this, which you can tell by looking at the actual photo, this is not all blood. So this is more than likely a lot of decomp fluid, so the breaking down. But again, the blood on the front of her pants. Here's the actual blood pattern here. And again, you've got this bunched up stuff going on. These clothes were not on people. Okay, when you watch the videos of David and Kamel when they were alive, I never saw them dressed like scruffy. They were very neat, very well presented, and they wouldn't wear their clothes just bunched up. So this is interesting. The pattern, the blood pattern is interesting to me.
Correct. And for the pants, just real quickly, that tear, most likely from paleo also, possibly.
Yeah.
But that was accessible to him.
Yes, and what is interesting, thank you for bringing that up, because and I do believe her autopsy does state that there was a mark in this area. But what is interesting is not only is the front of David's pants scratched with a pretty good rip in the material, and you can see underneath some skin exposed, kind of like the top layer of tissue was probably scratched off. I'm assuming that's a guess. We don't know for sure. And then also on Kamel's leg, it does state that there is this hole there where there is then a mark, more than likely the dog, again, probably scratching at the leg. Now, this same dog that they're saying supposedly ate their faces only, again, Kamel face down, but yet somehow he ate her face down, and a hand that's under her body. I'm telling you, this dog's a miracle dog. Because they say because he possibly smelled blood and kind of set off this motion. But why didn't it trigger the same response with both legs? None of these legs are eaten, yet he exposes that flesh, and he exposes fresh flesh, but does not try to consume it. And it's far more easily accessible and easier to eat and get at. And again, I don't mean to be disgusting, but we got to think about this logically. If this dog supposedly was one that did this to the faces and the hands, why would he not get what is more easily accessible?
And the autopsy does mention defects to his sweatpants, like the left front and left lower pant leg.
Okay, doesn't mention it, but on his body, that's the part I wasn't sure. I said I wasn't, I don't recall reading, but
the only thing is the musculoskeletal system that injuries and artifact due to animal scavenging. But
But that's probably, again, the head and the hands is what they're referring to, but they don't specifically mention the leg, because I don't recall reading it, but
No.
again, it doesn't mean it's not there.
No, they don't. And then they just go into the internal
Okay.
and then with the tests that they ran. And that was literally it. I mean, it was just a very generic autopsy. So, okay, I'm done interrupting.
No, you're fine. Because I know that you wanted to bring some, an important aspect out about the sweater.
Oh, actually, it's the corset.
Okay, the corset, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, but first pay attention to the sweater because she will come back and make a very good point on this. And with this, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt her, but it was a little hard to get anything decent off of the sweater just due to the coloration and the poor lighting. And plus the photos that we received were already altered. So we're doing negatives of an altered photo. These are not actual photos. I mean, they're photos from the ME, but whoever had these and gave them to us ran them through a different kind of filter before they gave them to us. They're not like the raw JPEGs or anything. It's, you know, they're altered photos. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, let's just finish the rest of the photos and then we'll come back to it because it will make more sense at that time.
Okay. And okay, and here, again, back to the bunching up of the clothes, this pattern right here, this was bunched. This was not a shirt that was worn like a regular shirt. It was bunched up. And then blood came on the shirt. And there's one thing I want you to notice is there's a tag number that only identifies whose clothes these are, but you will not see any markers. Okay, here we go. Again, the bunching of the shirt. And it's interesting that both of them are really on the same side of the body, both left-hand side of the shirt.
Correct.
That's interesting.
And notice the blood.
Yes.
Why doesn't the sweater have that same amount of blood on the top of it? That sweater is on her. It is the first thing on her that they removed. And then the t-shirt. So, and then the corset was underneath the t-shirt. So why doesn't that sweater have the same amount of blood in the same area as that t-shirt and corset? And you'll see on the corset that it's basically the same area.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And it's really important to note that. I mean, Sophia brings out a very good point because as you see, this area right here should be literally soaked in blood in order for the shirt to have this much blood. And we know that the sweater was put on and worn in, came in contact with the wet shirt. And you know, as the blood is fresh, it's wet because you see the pattern of the sweater on the clothes, on the shirt. But yet, hardly any blood. This is a little bit here and a little bit here. This is shadowing. Might be a little bit of blood on the sleeve, but most of this here is shadowing. But look, no blood. Just a little bit here, a little bit there, some there. Soaked. Explain, please.
Oh, and once again, she was laying on her stomach. So there should be blood on that carpet where she was laying, where she was supposedly killed. And yet that did not show up when we did the negative filter, and it should have lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yep.
And it didn't.
Yeah. And so, and why is this area void of blood? You know, that's interesting. There's blood here on the shoulder and a little bit blood down the front. And you can tell that the shirt had been bunched, but yet there's that one section, nothing. But again, here, this is an excellent photo that she has done because look at this, you know, it really brings this out. Again, they were never known to wear their clothes in a haphazard way. They were always very neat, but this was very haphazard when it was put on.
And I'm gonna guess, if we go back to that other photo real quick, that this smudge on the other side, right there,
Mhm.
is transfer.
Very
And
well
not,
could be.
yeah, I'm guessing, I'm not, because I wasn't there, but that's my guess.
Mhm.
And I'll show it more on the corset too. And then this is the back of Camel's t-shirt.
And on this one, again, though, notice the blood pattern. It's way more soaked in the back than it was on the front.
And she was found on her stomach.
Yep. And again, all this light area is the blood. These darker areas is the regular shirt. So look how soaked the back of this shirt is. And I'm going back to the previous one. This here, all blood. But yet, no blood. Why? You know, if you're found on face down, why is all the blood to the back of you? Okay. And before she, because you're going to want to hear what she has to say about this, but this is a classic example of how we received the photo. I believe this is how we actually received it. And you can tell that it has been run through a filter because this is not proper coloring. This is not the right color. This background is not the right color, but this is what we had to deal with. Okay.
And then now we're looking at the corset, and notice the blood patterns on here. It doesn't really line up with the t-shirt.
Hey, if I die, will you take care of my kids? If I survive, I will die right now.
And what I find interesting, let's go back. Let me go back to this previous one. Okay, now is this inside out? It could be inside out. So this could be the left side and this would be the right side. Or is this actually right side out? We don't know. Again, it's such a poor photo. We can't guess. But all this blood in this section, but why over here on this side on the strap only? Just doesn't make sense. What injury can cause that? This here, the light, blood.
I was trying to look at the corset close up
Hey, yours sucks.
to see if I can get a better idea. Yeah, it's inside out, I believe.
Okay, so then that would make sense. So then this would be the left side where most of the blood is, and this is the right side where on her clothes, most of them, it's relatively clean. But you want to tell them why you highlighted these areas?
The lighter blue type teal, that's blood. Everything that's circled on the bottom. And to me, and I'm guessing here because I don't have proof, it's an assumption, it looks like somebody was pulling the corset on. And possibly why it was backwards on her. That's an assumption too, because it was never mentioned that it was on backwards, but they are supposed to have the clothing the way that it was on the body. When they take it off, they're supposed to photograph it the way that it was on the body. In regards to a textbook from the bloodstain pattern analysis textbook. And so, I don't know.
And you're right. So Camille would not put her own corset on inside out. You know, women who wear them oftentimes for a reason, for extra support. And you're not going to put it on backwards. It's like, it would be useless. So who put that corset on?
I think it would be uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're right. Oops, sorry, I went, my finger clicked too many times.
And then these are her socks that she had on.
Yeah, and again, this photo was the way it was given to us. We didn't do this. It's again poor quality, but it's just to show you what they looked like. and then the pattern.
And you really can't see the blood very well on the outside of the socks, which is making me believe that they are on the inside. And that's what's being highlighted.
Very well could be. I don't know. My final thoughts is I really would like for you to read to them what you showed me previously in that book.
This book is called The Bloodstain Pattern Analysis, 2nd edition, with the introduction to crime scene reconstruction. This is a textbook, and this is from chapter 8 of the textbook. It's talking about clothing exams. Clothing exams require good quality documentation, just as any crime scene does. The photographs must take the viewer from overall position on the clothes to the details in the stain. In this example, we will see label A, and you can define where on the pants. So they're talking about this particular photo here. This is from a textbook. This is not from the crime scene.
And notice how they have the ruler. They're marking the pants so you can see how big those blood stains are. And all of that is missing from the Crowley clothes.
Correct. And Kamel was considered murdered technically for this case. So they should have followed these steps.
Yes.
And then it says a close-up photo of the detailed stain A. Many clothing stains are critical, so there's no question in the jury's mind as to their location. Now, the letter that I received from the city attorney has discussed that this case could always be reopened and that it can go before a jury. So that's in the second letter that I received from the city attorney. And let me see if I can get this.
Yeah, there
Can
you
you
go.
see it
Yeah, a little more to your left.
that way?
Yeah, and now up just a little. Okay, perfect, perfect.
Okay.
Yep, and if you guys look, you can see not only is it a close-up of the blood spatter pattern on the pants, but again, you see the ruler marker.
Okay. And then they're basically talking about the procedure, which is, let me find exactly where they're talking about it.
I jumped at the
Clothing examinations must be thorough and orderly. This requires a location where the clothing can be laid out and manipulated. The area should be covered in clean butcher paper that is changed routinely in the process of cross-contamination between clothing items. And what we saw in these photos for the Crowleys was the chucks or the cucks.
Chucks, yeah, chucks.
Okay.
But again, you know, that's normal, but then they would change that between, but if I can find, I'm going to look for this one photo and I would like to share it with everybody once we
Okay.
get it. Because it shows that they had all of the items laid out right next to each other. So it'd be too easy to cross-contaminate that. And again, like Sophia was stating, Mel was always considered to be a murder victim as well as Rania. And so why would they put clothes, lay them one next to the other out on a table where cross-contamination is a possibility? It just doesn't make sense.
At that time, it had not been determined that David was the actual killer.
Correct. Yep.
I mean, technically, it had not been declared by the ME until the end of the autopsy. And they took these clothes off before the autopsy. So,
and I'm trying to see, oh, let's see, maybe, gosh, maybe it was Greg's, but I know there's a photo out there and for some reason, I don't seem to have it that shows the clothes were close together. I'm looking now, but let me share with you this one particular photo, which will help to and I'll share this. But if you see here, these are the bracelets. This is the chucks, the blue in the background, but you see another item right here, David's shirt. So we can see they're right next to each other. And there is another, like I said, I should have copied that photo and I thought I had it. That actually shows, you know, items closer together, more items.
I don't have it.
I figures you know, you think you're always prepared, but it turns out you're not as prepared as you thought. And I think this, okay, yes, I want to share this photo as well. Let me do share screen, this photo, share. Okay, so this is the one we're talking about, and you can see the bunching right here. It was not worn, like it wasn't on the body neatly. It was all bunched up in the front. And here, this right here is the pattern from the sweater. So we've got sweater patterns on this shirt. But yet, like Sophia was pointing out, here, I got to move us so I can go to the next one. Maybe it's back over here. And let's rotate. There isn't as much blood on this one. But what is interesting is you see this pattern here. This is the pattern that should be at the top of her shirt, which is actually on the bottom of this shirt.
And she was wearing it.
How does that happen? How does that happen? Okay, we'll take a better look at this one. No.
Maybe it was her sleeve.
Oh, there you go. So there's proof that her arm was under her body. There you go. Yep. So we have proof, according to the clothes, that her arm was under her body, which means Paleo did not have access to that hand to remove it. How did her hand get removed? There we have proof, according to the evidence and the clothes, that this was underneath her body. Paleo could not have gotten to that hand.
You know, I'm wondering if maybe her sweater was inside out too, because the staining on her sweater is on the opposite side.
Oops. Let's take a better look.
See the red staining right there?
Yeah, right here.
And it's right there on the sleeve.
Yeah.
It was inside out too. And frayed.
Yep. So, and again, yep, because look at here, well, that is not necessarily, but again, the coloring is not good. And this could be evidence of damage done prior to her body being moved and placed on her stomach. So yes, you're correct, because this then would match with, if it's inside out, all of the blood stains match. But if it's like this and clothes were put on correctly, the corset and the sweater don't match the shirt.
Correct.
Good catch. Good catch.
Well, I only caught it because you enlarged and I could see it.
Yep. And the same type of tearing of the clothes that is similar to David's. And again, it's the exact opposite. David's clothes were torn on the back. This is torn toward the front, or it definitely in an arm that the dog didn't have access to. If
Yeah,
it's torn inside out, which makes sense because then the patterns match.
So why is she putting her clothes inside out?
Yep. Oh, here's another one that's evidence that there was something else close by. Yeah, because you see, they just laid it all out on the same table. Wouldn't that be cross contamination a little bit too easy? Yeah. So see, yes, these are chucks.
Yep. They look like pea pads.
Yeah, well, we use them for all kinds of stuff.
Same thing.
Oh, here we go. This is it. This is the shirt. Look at this. His bracelets here. Here's a shirt here. And look, they're touching. Cross contamination, can we say? And if they're, and I know this isn't the same thing, but I can't help but notice there's all kinds of hair, dog hair on David's clothes, and there's dog hair on Ranya's clothes, but we're not going to show it to you. But on Kamel's, I couldn't find any.
Thank you for zooming in on that, because that's pretty evident right there. Oh yeah, a lot of it. I'm wondering if he could have just picked it up from the rug when his body was dragged.
Which is very well possible, yeah. But his pants are covered in it too. So, but again, could be was he dragged and then so picked it up and rolled him over. But even on Kamel's clothes, on her pants, I zoomed in and I tried to find any kind of hair on her clothes, and I couldn't find anything. Oh, it's my grandson leaving a message. He's so funny. Here's like human hair.
Yes.
But no dog hair.
Yeah.
Anywhere. The rip in her pants.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty good rip. I don't know. I mean.
And yeah. And how did the blood get down here? On the lower part of her pants versus, again, none of these blood stains make sense. Let's see if we have an, oh, those are David's. I'm sorry for going fast. I'm trying to look.
There we go. There we go. That's good one.
Yeah.
And that rip, that looks a lot wider than what a dog would do, honestly. My opinion.
It's a pretty good sized rip. But
look at all the frays. They didn't bother to chew on the frays or tear it even more.
Yeah, not at all, but yet it just looks like you could see these being claw marks. This fits like a claw of an animal. So that makes sense. But again,
why not go back and continue?
They would consume it, and people, you can see no hair, no dog hair. And I will go to David's so you can see that as well. We'll go forward now to David's clothes. And
her pants were dark.
Yes. Do you see the difference? All of these.
Oh, wow.
This is all hair, dog hair. And this is what I'm saying. David's clothes is covered in short white dog hair. Now, Paleo's hair was fur. Sorry, call it hair. Was not this short. This is super short. A lot of these hairs.
That would make me feel so gross. I'm sorry. I have pets and I have to lint roll or you wash them. I can't put clothes on like that. It would make me feel so dirty.
Yeah, I know. And but again, this is what I'm saying. It's like, it just doesn't make sense. The clothes don't match up. And here we go. You can see the hairs now, the little short white hairs. Okay. And that's off topic. Yes.
That's a lot of fur.
It is. It really, really is.
I know some dogs are very prone to shedding, and he was stressed, but that's a lot of fur.
But the thing is you would expect to see the same amount on both Rania and Kamel.
Correct.
You don't. Like I said, there is some fur on Ranya's clothes as well. Same type of little short white hairs, but it's nowhere near to the degree of David's clothes. But as you can see, it's not on Kamel's at all. Nothing. And here we go. This look, you can tell it's been bunched up. Again, not talking about the same type of, I'm not talking about wrinkled, like you take something and you stick it in a bag. Of course, it's going to get wrinkled because it's not folded neatly. But looking at hair. I'm sorry.
Too. It has hairs also.
Yes, right here.
So every layer has hair.
Yes.
Oh, yeesh.
And how was that supposed to happen?
What? So much fur.
Yeah,
I would be itching. Oh my gosh.
again, just does not
Oh,
make sense to
yeah.
me.
I'm sorry, guys. This is creeping me out a little bit. Sorry.
But again, and this is why all of these items are so very important to this case. When you take a good look at everything, you realize nothing adds up. Nothing. Oh, okay. See?
Yeah.
Again, the bunching on the same side of the body.
Starting to get dizzy.
And here, and here, and here. These are separate events from this. You've got all this spatter right here. Again, separate event. So we have at least 2 events on this shirt. But again, you see how it was bunched up underneath, and when the blood came in contact with his clothes were not put on correctly. It just, to me, these patterns are telling me that there's just no way that this could have been a murder-suicide. A murder for sure, but not a suicide. They were all 3 victims.
It is my guess, and the viewers can make their own minds up on this, but it is my guess that they were redressed after death, or I don't know. I mean, I just can't see any reason why somebody would put their clothes on backwards.
Right, exactly. And that is generally done by somebody who is redressing because they're trying to hurry. But again, okay, and this was his outer shirt, correct? This one right here?
No, that was underneath the sweatshirt. That was.
Oh my God.
Okay, so it was
I'll double check.
the long sleeve. Yeah, okay. But let's see if there's any hair on this one. There's some hair on this one as well.
That was actually underneath his long sleeve shirt.
Okay.
And wait, maybe not. No, that was the top shirt. I am so sorry, folks. I mislabeled that.
I'm glad you clarified, because I wanted to reiterate this, but I'm glad you clarified. So now I actually can make this point because this is valid. This is his top shirt. Look at the blood pattern. We see the same bunching now on this side again, which tells you his clothes were not on in the way you and I would wear them. They were just kind of thrown on the body when the blood hit the shirt. But again, do you see anything on this front? Do you see any cast off? Did you see any spray on the top of the shirt? But yet the one that was underneath that shirt, this one shows 2 separate events.
Yeah.
And the top shirt is missing these events.
And there's no fraying on the long sleeve shirt that's underneath between the short sleeve and the undershirt.
Correct.
Those shirts were torn in almost the exact same area.
Correct.
But this is not.
This one is perfectly fine. And again, you see the wet blood here, which tells me the shirt was still wet when they took it out of the bag or off the clothes, off the body, however it was that it came out. If they took it off the body and laid it on here, it was still wet with blood. But again,
and his white shirt is more bunched up. It's bunched up in between the 2 shirts. His gray one is pushed further down. His black one is even further down. But his white long sleeve shirt is bunched higher up on his chest as he's laying down. How does that happen? Unless somebody manipulated his shirts once they arranged him.
Yes, and that is evidenced by this right here, these fold areas. And right here, especially what she was just saying, it was bunched up underneath the clothes. Look at this, bunched up.
I mean, that's so evident.
Yep. So
This makes me very sad.
Oh, is there anything else you would like to add?
We just need to find justice for this family. It's been 7 years of slander, of a documentary that just gave us more questions than answers, and it did no justice for David. It didn't even give us the answers that we were promised. All it did was slander David, it slandered Campbell, and
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I was reading an article and I'm pretty sure I can find it. I'm sure I've saved it because I save everything, just sometimes it takes me a while. And I believe it was by Eric Nelson, and Eric Nelson was part of the documentary, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Well, he made the documentary.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to make sure I had the right name. And he was being interviewed, and he stated that they set up the dialogue and they set up the screenshots to get the narrative they wanted across. And he was very happy with the fact that it came out looking like he wanted it to look, and it went the direction they wanted people to believe. That's not an independent documentary. That's something setting a narrative and propaganda. I don't know what other word to use other than propaganda. So that told me right there, Eric Nelson was not out to look for truth. He definitely wasn't out looking for justice for anybody, not for Kamel, Rania, let alone David. And that tells me that he had a mindset against David from the beginning. So it's completely biased. And then he geared that bias toward the audience to get the audience to follow what he's saying. And
this is it's on the record. He says this in interviews.
Yes.
So it's not like we're making this stuff up to fit our narrative. He stated this. So, because I remember Anne bringing this up too, because she was there during the Twin City viewing. I think that's what it was called.
Okay.
There in Minneapolis, I believe, or I don't know. It was at that where they showed it, and then they invited all the local people, and
So they did
gave
a
like this question and answer kind of session at the end. So, and she reiterated that.
Yeah, and that's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. So there are people who watch that supposed documentary and will swear up and down that, oh, it's telling the truth, when the creator and writer themselves tells you he wrote it with a bias and to get you to follow a certain train of thought and a certain narrative. So don't fall for what they say at all. And, and think about the money these people have made off of the death of this family. Every single one of the GS guys, I don't think they did any of this stuff for free. These guys don't do anything for free. I bet you they got paid to appear in that little lying piece of, film that made it onto Netflix. And, they're still trying to profit off of the gray state today.
Yeah, they are.
And I've heard some snide comments that people have made about Greg Fernandez Jr. because he wrote a book, and his book, what it does is he documents the stages of the case, and he gives you the information and police reports, all this other stuff. So he kind of puts it in one easy place go to section. And 9 times out of 10, he gives this book away for free. But the printed one, you have to charge for, and other things like that. And there are people who will condemn him for doing this, but yet hail these people who not only, I believe, were somehow connected to this crime, but then supposedly are his friends, but have condemned David, and they are making money off of it, and it's okay. And they're trying to make money off of it, and it's okay.
It's not even the gray state guys. It's not just even them.
Right.
It's also journalists like Eric Wilkerson, who wrote that crappy piece. He got paid for his work. You think he did that for free?
Exactly.
He's still getting paid every time somebody clicks on that. So every time you recommend that article that's full of lies and baseless untruths, did I say that wrong? Baseless or baseless untruths. Sorry, I'm getting on a rant. And every time you click on that, he gets paid. But Greg can't earn a little bit of money so that he can try to get a documentary to state the actual truth, because that's what the Teespring is for. And he
Yep.
states it. He stated it in his live today that everything that he makes from Teespring is to help make a documentary.
Yes,
He's
and we
not
will
trying
be.
to get rich off the case.
No, I don't know of any of us who've ever tried to profit from this at all. And we're
Well,
going
you
to put a
can't
link.
even profit from Teespring.
Right. Teespring gets most of the money. And
Mhm.
but we will put a link to that underneath in the description box. So if you want to take a look, because there are actually some really nice things that are in there. But yeah, that is what it's for. So if you want to help support this and help get another documentary done, Greg is very unbiased. Yes, now I've watched Greg grow from the very beginning going, well, I'm not so sure he didn't do it, to now after all these years where he's had plenty of time to research the evidence, where he's like, okay, I'll still change my mind, but I want to see the proof, and there's no proof. And that's kind of what he wants to do. He wants to do a documentary to show you the evidence. And the evidence does not point to David being guilty.
And we argue a lot behind the scenes. So please don't ever think that we all agree and we're like the yes ma'ams of the group or whatever. No, we argue over the facts a lot and disagree. And finally, instead of getting angry at somebody and staying that way, we're like, okay, we agree to disagree. I'm right, but I agree to disagree. But yeah, but this is how we work together, and we're always bouncing ideas off each other. And we'd like to invite you, the viewer, to bounce ideas off other group members and us, and join us. Be active in the group. We would love to have you people join us for podcasts, for videos, anything. It's not just us. We don't have to carry the case. You guys could join us too. We would love it. New ideas are absolutely amazing because you guys will see things that we miss. So please, we would love for you to look at this case, look at the photos, use the filters, which I use Negative Filter, which is a phone app for iPhone and Android. You get the same results as a computer, except Catherine does a little bit more with it. Would you like to explain a little bit?
Yeah, and as we have stated before, I use Corel Paint Shop Pro, which is basically the same thing as Photoshop. They're two different companies though, but they virtually do the same thing. And then also, I will run it through Lightroom as well. When I'm tweaking and trying to play better with contrasting and colors, there's just certain things you can do in Lightroom that you can't do in Paint Shop Pro. But yes, or if you don't want to do your own YouTube channel, but you still want to do a video, then do one and send it to myself or to Greg, and we can put it on our channels. It'll be your video, but it'll be on our channels. But if you don't want to go through the hassle of creating all that and feeling like you have to constantly do content, if you either join us, like Sophia said, let's join up and do a video conference, or do your own video, send it to us, and then we'll upload it on our channels. It will be yours. You get all the credit, but there are lots of ways that, feel free, you can jump in and help and feel like you're part of the group.
Yes, because everybody who makes a comment, makes a post in the group, you're helping. And we love that. And we would love to see more of it and have you join us. Even in the future, you don't have to stress about it. It's super easy. You just talk like you're talking to a friend, or like you're talking in Messenger even. It's super easy. Just forget that you're on YouTube.
Yeah, and there are lots of ways to do this. Lots of times when I've been on other people's channels videos, and somebody didn't want their face to be seen. You don't have to be seen either. There are lots of ways to do this, but don't feel like you can't help, or you can't voice a thought or an opinion or even an idea. You can. And we encourage you, and we really want you to join in.
For the longest time, I would always call in because it was just so much easier. And now I'm using an iPad for this. But you could use a cell phone, you can use an iPad, you can call it in, you can black out your photo, you can use just an extra photo like a cat, even if you don't want people to see your face, you know, or a dog photo or generic photo. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But you're still helping by just wanting to be a part. And we would love it because I'm sure everybody gets tired of seeing us. So please reach out, talk to us, you know, and if you'd like to join us, we can schedule something and we can get it done in the near future. Sometimes it takes a couple weeks to a month, but we get it done. So anyway.
And that's all I have to say. Do you want to take us out?
I just want to let everybody know that I believe that the photos are on Craig's website, which is thegraystage.wordpress.com, and I will leave the website underneath Catherine's video when she posts this so that everybody can find it. And that's where all the files are too. And Greg's book is there, the free version, the online one. So, oh, and also his Teespring, I believe, is on here too. I think, could be wrong. I'll double check. If it's not, then I'll make sure he puts it on there for everybody to find. But it's a great website. It has everything located there. And I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure. I think we've discovered quite a bit. Catherine?
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.